Welcome to Echo Sportscast number 67.
I'm Ben Sargent.
And I'm Jackson Boal. Today we are here with my dad, who is a very big part of Chippewa, teacher and coach, and Chippewa alumni, Bob Boal.
Welcome, because
Thanks.
Your son didn't welcome you into the
It's nice
program.
to be here. Thanks.
It's a Boxing Day. This is our little holiday present to our viewers here a little bit, because we've been teasing this up for a while, and we're gonna pump your tires a little bit because Jackson did it a couple of times. I think did you pump tires, or was that somebody else?
I pumped Ben's tires quite a bit.
Pumped Ben's tires.
Yeah.
Right. Not me, but Ben Mason.
Yeah.
We had. I pumped your tires a little bit. It's fine. All right. So we brought in your father, who give us a little bit of a quick synopsis of who you are, and you're with Chippewa, but like how long have you been there? Some of your sports background, and not to put you on the spot, but give us kind of your whole life story in a 30-second little snippet.
I went to Chippewa as a student. High school was the best 6 years of my life. The joke is I never left, and I just started getting paid to be at Chippewa. I started teaching in 96, so I'm 30 years closer to the end of my career than the beginning. I've coached at Chippewa football twice, probably surprises a lot of people. Track, I think just about everything but volleyball. Cross-country skiing and downhill skiing. But I used to run the basketball tournaments when I was younger. I helped out with the Art Gaber, and the weekend after there was a tournament. And I've been with the hockey program my whole teaching career, and badminton for a lot of my teaching career. Maybe took some time off when the kids were young. I'm now coaching slow pitch at the high school level, which is exciting and interesting that we have that back.
And you're one heck of a softball player.
And I play slow pitch too, and I have for a while.
Though to be fair, I only saw you at the first baseline yelling at Jackson, but that was
what I do best.
That was about it. Yeah, I don't think you played last year.
I played last year.
Maybe not just against us, but to be honest, we sucked. So that was.
I just played. I had my hip replaced in April, and so I just played mixed last year. But I did get to play a little bit later in the season, which was nice to stay with it, because I think that's important to stay young and healthy.
Yeah, and you guys are pretty intense. Like, we just played for men's, beer league, not a big thing. You guys went to tournaments and did all that stuff. What's your preferred position? Like, what is your? I guess I know a lot of people, as they age, they kind of play first base and the less mobile ones. But what's your favorite position on the?
Largely my career is at second base.
Yeah.
And then nowadays I'll play a little bit of first or catcher. I cannot pitch. I've seen other people just walk up and pitch really nicely and easy and simple. I honestly cannot do it. There are teams that I've played for that will totally vouch for that. I'm horrible, and I just walk people like crazy. But second base is where I played 25 years.
It's harder to hit that ball than you think. You think it's easy. They just lob it up. But there's some good pitchers where it'll move on you, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, you're just like, this is my Tuesday night. This is not very kind.
Yeah. Yeah, we only won 2 games, actually, because the Blue Devils did forfeit.
Yeah, they did.
Because they were scared.
They were terrified.
No, they just didn't want to play at Omichel at 9 p.m.
Wow. Maybe.
We were very thankful that they forfeited, because I did not want to play at Omichel at 9 p.m. So maybe let's just start off with a little bit Chippewa. How has Chippewa changed throughout the years from when you started there? Maybe not just necessarily athletically. Obviously now it's a 7 to 12 school. But how have you think that Chippewa maybe has changed over the 3 decades that you've been there?
I think it's harder for me to necessarily see the changes, because they happened in my life gradually. And so the color of the gym was this color for so long, and then it switched to another color for a little while. And I think people who have not been in Chippewa for a while, when they step back in, their memories don't match what they see, and so they probably notice more than I do some of the things. I think 7 to 12, that's a big change. Our population is I think when I was president, 1,100 kids, 87 teachers, I think. We're not there in high school right now. I think your social life was more attached to your school back then. And so there were bigger crowds of friends at games that were not just the finals. The finals in every sport in NDA gets a really decent crowd, if not better than decent. And last year's hockey final was absolutely electric. It was a great energy feeling final. And basketball gets that, and volleyball gets that. And I think in the past, because your social life was more intertwined with your school, there were bigger crowds at events that were not just the finals. And having East-West before was a big spirit thing. People didn't switch schools as much. And so it was a bit more of your identity. And it's like one of the jokes from, if you are an adult who's moved into North Bay, one of the jokes that eventually comes up talking to them is, all you people just identify with what high school you went to. And we did, but it used to be a big part of our life. Some of us played hockey, and we still have some friends from like around the city, but who we lived near and what school we went to was largely who we hung out with.
Yeah, I remember East-West. Did I go to all of them? I think I kind of skipped some of them near the end, though, because you're like, hey, you can get out of school. It is a lot different now because, like, when I was going through high school, we didn't get Facebook until maybe grade 10 or 11, and even then, it was more of a novel. It was like MySpace. Like, people would go on it, but it is a lot different, I think, than what it was before. I will say that out of all the sporting events that I've been to, football has been the biggest draw. Like those Omichelle Friday night lights games it is packed, and it's not just the teams playing. You'll see, like, if it's Algonquin and Scholar, there's Ferris people. They're probably because they're like their boyfriends are playing or whatever. But you'll see like different like people from different schools, which is fascinating. And the cool thing that we just talked about is you guys are Chippewa are like very close to becoming back to the senior football circuit, which is cool. I don't know if it's confirmed. It sounds like it's confirmed, but I think it does kind of. I think it's dependent on this fundraiser, right? Like if the fundraiser
I think that would have a lot to do with it. And the goal is to be a part of it. The goal, like, we hope that we have enough kids who commit and follow through, and we hope that we get the money that we need to purchase everything. Certainly the plan and the direction is to, after having junior for 2 years, is to grow and now have senior as well. And I think it helps. I think the time of year, beginning of the school year, that's your best spirit event, those Friday nights, and it's like young alumni, it's old alumni, it's people from other schools. It's the place to be, and so you want your school to be a part of that as well. It would, I assume, would add to like school spirit, like feeling connection to school for more kids. And excuse me. Last year, when we were starting out the junior program, one of the things that one of the coaches noticed is the kids who were playing football were not doing a lot of other sports or clubs at Chippewa, and so it was really cool that they got their space. It was part where they felt they belonged. And so, and football with needing so many people, and your quarterback's not necessarily built like your lineman and your tight end, and some need speed, some need power. Like, it really is like very inclusive. I think every school had at least one female. Or in the last 3 or 4 years, and so like it's not bad for inclusivity, and I think it's probably a big piece of starting off the year with a good school spirit, especially with no dances and things like that.
Yeah, and when you look at the core, I will say the core 4 teams, like the North Bay teams, because obviously Franco and Mattawa have teams, but you would say Chippewa, Algonquin, Scholar, Ferris are like the 4 North Bay teams that tend to have the most success out of all the programs. When you look at football, it's nice to have all 4 of those schools involved. I think it'd still be great if you see a Northern or Franco come back into the football space in the senior world. It's the same way, like, love to see West Ferris have a hockey team. And now you're somebody who's very tightly tied to the hockey program, not just with Chippewa, but also with the NDA, and which is neat because you were the director. Is that the term?
Convener.
I think? Convener of the league for many years, which is neat.
I enjoy it. I enjoyed that role. I'm not a great skater or anything like that, so it's a way to fit in and a way to be a part of it. And Franco also joined the junior football league at the same time Chippewa did, and I hope they're like trying to do the same thing Chippewa is, which is blossom it into a senior team too. 4 teams is great at least, and then that 5th team, so you can have the double header Friday night lights, and then a team with a rest week like that. That would be a cool schedule too. And so that would be good. The more schools, generally, the better. In hockey, it would be great to see Ferris have a team, but also Franco has been in the league. Mattawa's been in the league. Northern's been in the league. All those schools have been in the league during my coaching career, and so it would be. It was better when it was 6 or 7 teams. There was more excitement. There was more games meant more, and you got to play different people, and so it was a better experience in some ways.
And it creates better games because like right now, Scholar's just kind of beating up on like everyone. There's just a really good hockey program.
Yeah,
and you don't get like tonight. Well, we're recording this on the 17th tonight. Chippewa and Algonquin to play for only, I think, the 2nd time, I believe. Yeah. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, once in the tournament, but second regular season.
Yeah, so like even if you had, let's say, a Franco, because we talked about this, when you bring in a new team, it's hard for that team to be good right away. It takes some time. So if you have 2 maybe weaker teams, it's nice to see them get able to play without having like the feeling. Because right now I feel really bad for Chippewa's hockey because it sucks when you go out there and it's like you're going to lose. Now, they've had some better games, but they have been losing by a lot of goals, which is just unfortunate. And it's like if they had a chance to play I'm going to throw it out there, a Franco or Northern or Mattawa or whoever, and maybe they also had a beginning program, it'd be nice for them to be able to play people who are maybe a little bit closer to like where their program is currently.
And I think most teams want to play teams at their level. Scholar is probably hoping to get some good, solid, competitive games, and Algonquin stays with them for sure. This is a rebuilding year for us. It's my 3rd or 4th time, I think, having a rebuild year at Chippewa, and so it's happened before. I was thinking about it. Every high school has had a team except for Odyssey and Nabising when I was in the league. And every high school finished last. And I think only 1 or 2 didn't win a title in the last, in my career.
Yeah, it's that cycle,
and so
right?
it cycles.
Yeah.
I think school populations being lower makes it a little more difficult to find enough kids. Kids, when they walk away from some sports now, they kind of walk away from it entirely. They don't necessarily say, but I'll still do high school. And so that makes it more difficult. I'm very excited. Nabising is every year they are adding another sport or 2, and they hosted a badminton event last year for the first time. They're hosting a basketball game at Odyssey sometime soon.
Tonight, I think.
Is it tonight? Okay, and they've
tonight.
already played Northern, and they have their sister school or twin school. I'm not sure what term they use of Odyssey, and that sort of matches the Northern and the French Northern and the 2 schools in Mattawa, and so I think. Nabising has some momentum, and for adding sports, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm going to guess that hockey is one that they have their eye on at some point. And I think talking to some people in Mattawa, they would like to get back towards having a team, and that would be and Franco and Ferris are always at any year they could have a team, and so now you're up to 5, 6, 7. And so that's great because everything's a double header, which now becomes the place to be.
Easier for you as a convener.
Plus teams you can have a team away and you still can have a double header. Double headers are just better for fans, better for the players. They get to see each other more. They get to watch each other's games more. And so hopefully those schools will be hopefully Chippewa gets football and hopefully Ferris gets hockey and hopefully, everyone wants a healthy league in all the sports for their kids to have stuff to do.
Did you ever find it an issue? I know I'm hogging all the questions. Sorry, Justin.
No, that's all right. Keep going.
Did you ever find an issue trying, because when I think we talked about this last week or the week before, but one of the unique challenges hockey has is that it runs at the same time as hockey, right? So you lose all those people who are playing AAA or playing Junior B or all these different leagues. Did you ever find having issues? And I know that the like Heath Bradley played last year.
Yeah.
Do you find that's a unique challenge in hockey to try to get some of these players who are playing at a higher level because they have aspirations to maybe, continue to the next level, to maybe get them that a volleyball or a basketball doesn't have?
Yeah, I do. Part of it is we're part of NASA for hockey, which is Sudbury and the Sioux and North Shore. But North Shore, their hockey teams usually go into the Sudbury Loop or the Sioux Loop. Like Central Algoma has a team this year. They're a North Shore school. They play in the Sudbury Loop. When Manitoulin has a hockey team, they play in the Sudbury Loop. And it's across NASA that we agree not to use AAA players. And at any point in time, I suppose one of the associations, like NDA, could say we're going to use them, but it creates a real imbalance inside your NASA, and that's not something you want to do to your fellow mates. That is, that level between your local NDA or Sudbury Secondary League and OFSA. So we have to consider that as well when deciding about rule changes or things like that. Yep, my whole career there have been students who were Chippewa students who went away to play Junior B, Junior C, Junior A somewhere. Now Skyhawks often had an NDA player or two. Now they're Powassan Hawks, and now the Powassan Voodoos at Heath Bradley. Caleb Dawson's another one who was at Chippewa and playing Voodoo hockey. And hopefully the attitude of the coaches and the adults is we want these kids playing at the highest level that they can play. And so we hope they do well there, and that's where they fit. But it would be teams would be better with those kids. Those are the higher end kids, and there's a story from the beginning of my career. I think it was my first year coaching, so I wasn't even really sure what to expect. Randy Mulroy was the coach, and a kid who was trying Junior B or Junior C out of town didn't like it and quit. But he quit the night of our first game, and so that made him ineligible. And so he came back to North Bay, and he absolutely would have made a difference on our hockey team. And he wasn't allowed to play because he didn't quit 24 hours earlier. And if he knew the new rule, if we knew he was thinking about coming home, we probably would have connected and talked to him about it so they're aware of when the cutoff is, where you can't be dressed for a Junior B team or a Junior C team. He played basketball and stuff and said he's a good athlete, good kid, good kid who's 40 now. But it was such a missed opportunity that he quit like one day too late for us.
That's an interesting rule. Jax, I'm going to let you have a couple of questions in here.
Well, I want you to bring up the Northern thing where Northern had a team and they said, listen, we have to use our carded players or else we're not going to have a team, we're not going to be competitive. And then they had decided beforehand that they wouldn't go to NOS even if they won. Is that what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. And much like right now, there's certain teams that are playing non-contact. Chippewas right now, it was Algonquin in the past. You make the exceptions. You adapt to try to keep the league healthy. Northern Sturgeon Falls has a good hockey program in general, and so Northern wanted to be in the hockey loop. They want to be in NDA sports, but they recognize that wouldn't really be fair to the Sudbury schools, the Sioux schools, if they were then sent to NASA. And OFSA, it's up to each association whether or not they can send AAA players. Each one does it differently. Some schools in Southern Ontario, like Mount Carmel was one of the earlier examples, they wouldn't let their kids play like you're playing for us or you're not. But Northern came in and the notice of motion and the stipulation was they recognized they were not going to NASA, but it brought them into the league. And so happily we accepted that.
Yeah, I think you said offsets association to association. I think you are anti let the AAA players play. And I think it's interesting because like some of our NDA teams are they get blown out at OFSAs, and we've talked about that on the show before, where they're sort of competitive, but the Sudbury and Sioux teams are consistently medaling, especially over the last couple of years. So does NASA need the AAA players? Does NDA need the AAA players, or just completely avoid it because Sudbury keeps winning? What do you think?
Like personal opinion, I think one of the reasons why they're not carded players in NDA is because we used to run a schedule that was fairly close to the size of the Great North Midget Hockey League schedule of, we had 24 league games plus 3-4 tournaments out of town. And so when you add those up, I think the Great North Midget League was 33 games at one point. And we were around that number, and you wanted the kids to commit to you and the team. There were enough hockey players to go around, but that kid who is looking at the schedule or sitting in the dressing room who becomes very dejected because, here come the AAA players, I'm not getting ice tonight. That's not the high school experience any adult wants to put out there, but that sometimes happens when there's that ability to play both. It depends on how the adults and coaches feel. It depends on how they schedule things and how their league schedule things. We've been in tournaments in Toronto before where the team we played the first day looks very different than when we play the Friday when they've gone to their AAA tournaments, and they're not quite the same group of kids. That high schools used to dealing with it down there, the schools that allow it. But they also, we talk about they have a 6-game schedule or whatever their low requirements are to be able to compete at their version of NASA. Would it help being competitive at OFSA? I guess it would. By theory, it should. If we had better hockey players, we should be more competitive. You're right. Cora, St. Mary's won OFSA a couple of years ago. Last year, St. Charles finished third and hosted it. Cora was in the mix. Llewellyn's been in the mix in the past. And I don't know a lot about minor hockey in the Sioux or Sudbury. I think they used to have sort of 2 streams in the Sioux, or maybe 2 AAA teams, certainly 2 junior B teams at one point, and then the Greyhounds. And so there's just more kids to draw into your high school who don't want the travel or whatever reason it is, or no, they're not going to get drafted, so they want to focus more on school, and they'd come into high school. So there's a bigger pool, and so a better chance that they get together in a school to be able to be competitive.
It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street and let us help you along your way.
We often talk about the rhythm of life in North Bay. For Amanda, that rhythm was fast. Hockey practices, baseball games, juggling a full-time career, and keeping up with 2 energetic boys. But life hit pause after routine surgery led to a call she never expected. Stage 2 breast cancer. No symptoms, no warning. Suddenly, Amanda was facing a double mastectomy, reconstruction, weeks of chemotherapy and radiation treatments, and several additional surgeries. The path ahead was overwhelming. Through every stage, one question stayed with her. How do I keep being mom for my boys? Amanda's care team at the North Bay Regional Health Center made all the difference. They understood how deeply she wanted to hold on to familiar routines, cheering from the stands, being there at bedtime, staying present in the moments that gave her strength. Their compassion kept her connected to the 2 people who kept her fighting. She stayed present. She stayed grounded. She stayed mom. This holiday season, help ensure patients have access to the exceptional care they need during life's most challenging moments. Your gift helps patients like Amanda stay connected to the people they love while strengthening healthcare for families across our region. Visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give.
How disappointed were you when you went to that first NDA game this season and somebody was supposed to do your jerseys, Jackson, brought you jerseys that had nothing on the front? Were you like, son, what's going on?
No, that's actually on me.
That's no. Okay, never moving on.
Yeah, as the director of hockey operations or whatever my doho or whatever my title is, we just sort of miscalculated how long it would take to put cresting on, and so that's on me. And I felt very bad. Like, how disappointed was I? I'm very disappointed in myself for making that mistake. I don't have a lot of things necessarily to do for the team, so the things I do, I should do pretty perfectly. And so it really was just a budgeting of time mistake. And we were also at one point sort of waiting. We were hoping that there's a logo that comes with the Ravens. And there's been a great committee working on that and making sure that it fits all the criteria and there's not copyright issues or things like that. And so we were sort of dragging our feet to start about the jersey, hoping they would get a chance to release that and we could use that. You know, so hockey is a bit of a high-profile sport, and so being the first one to be able to have that logo out there was something we were kind of hoping to do and help with this year a bit. And so it just hasn't been able to be released yet. It's like certainly any time. And that was part of how we ended up in that situation. But it was fixed after the one game.
I didn't think that was where that was going to go. But anyways, I was just trying to put that one on Jackson.
Still, my bad. I didn't even look at the box. He handed me the box. I went, nice, they're all in there, and didn't even look at them. So
it is cool though, because we talked about it, getting a logo or something like a Raven. Because do you guys have is there a Ravens logo right now?
Not that has been released. There was a committee of a collection of kids, some parent council, a couple of kids from the community, or a couple of parents from the community, and other stakeholders, and then some teachers. I was not part of it, and admin, and they've worked. They recognize that's the next piece, like changing the name. We need a new logo that goes along with it, and that's another reason why the jerseys weren't necessarily done, is because we didn't. If we just put out the same jersey we had last year, then we'll never start to really buy into being Ravens. And so we didn't even put them on shoulder patches. We didn't put the old Thunderbird as a shoulder patch. Like we were hoping to start that new logo name, like really pushing it or just having it out there. So we don't have one yet, but it's supposed to, like, anytime.
But the blacks were so nice.
The blacks were really
nice. And
nice.
they were unique. Like Scollard's yellow and we're yellow and Cora's yellow.
Does Schollard have, because I've only seen their green jerseys.
No, they don't. I think they're green and white, but they could
they could have done
they could have chosen yellow.
Lively was the first team that was coming to North Bay a lot that had a yellow jersey that they used as home or away. We were red jerseys and white jerseys, Calgary Flames, for a long, long time. And then we had a group of kids we had for a couple of years, kind of like last year, and we picked up black jerseys for them. And that'd be 2005-ish. And then we have sort of gone back and forth. But when Greg Richardson was able to revive the program in 2012-ish, a set of whites and a set of reds. And then again last year, a bunch of... we actually had a set of golds the year we won in 2016 with Hayden Corbeil, and I shouldn't just name one or two of them, but that team, we gave them the gold jerseys about halfway through the year as a surprise, and it had the exact effect that we wanted it to have, and that, the kids, the emotional boost. And so black jerseys, but gold was, in our mind, was if we're only going to have one jersey, it lets us be home or away with it without having to wear pennies. You're right. Scholar sometimes has a gold, or they do whites and green, like white for home, green for away.
That'd be evil for them to bring in a gold jersey just when they play like the one game. But yeah. So what's your favorite hockey moment with Ravens hockey? Like, I know last year was like a really close, like, overtime loss, which is tough, but you've got to have like a couple that stick out with your time with the team and that just kind of come to mind.
Most memorable or favorite, because that's a bit different. Certainly last year, like, I enjoyed the finals. I know I know it was very crushing on our kids. But as someone who's been in some finals and won and been in some finals and lost, I really enjoyed it for how the crowd, the energy, and like our kids really stepped up. As we couldn't ask for anything more from any of them. And one team has to win, one team has to lose, and good on Schollard. My very, very first year coaching, that year we didn't get that one kid. We lost game 3 of the finals in triple overtime. Crushing. How do you, like, you can't console the kids. You can't say anything after that game. You just can't. But it was that's certainly very memorable. Your first ever final. Back then, the visitors bench was like on the other side, and so we were visitors. Schollard was finished first, and like you're looking over your shoulder, and the lineup of people after O Canada who still haven't come in, who still had to pay at the door, was awesome. And back then, Sudbury very visibly would come down, their coaching staff, for games, whatever games they could, to start scouting Schollard, Ferris, Algonquin, Chippewa, whoever was going to be at NASA. And it was, you knew them. They didn't hide. They were wearing their SCC jackets or whatever it was. And so that energy, like, it felt like the show when, and as an adult, it felt like the show. I'm sure to those 17, 18-year-old kids, it was really awesome. I think winning a title for Randy Mulroy, or with Randy Mulroy, second year, 2000. We hadn't won since 1970, which is the year I was born. And so close a couple of times. Chippewa didn't have a team for a little bit in that stretch. And so to get the team back and then to win, especially with my mentor Randy Mulroy and Dale Chenette, like that was a good experience, without a doubt. And game 3 was in Powassan, again, a smaller barn, so much energy. And John Wilson, from Schollard, who'd beat us the year before, was very gracious, and happy for us and happy for Randy. And so that stands out. I guess those moments stand out probably the most, I think, for most people too, right? And you're happy for the kids when that happens as well.
Mine has to be 2 years ago in game 2 of the final, when Carter Thibodeau had the puck with 5 seconds left, and he dropped his stick and he threw his gloves off like he was about to fight the Schollard kid, and then took his helmet off and started celebrating with his team when the final buzzer went. That was it's maybe not the most sportsmanlike display, but it was just it was incredible.
Like the bat flip.
Basically, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So Jackson, does your love of badminton come from your dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Go ahead, Jack.
Dad was a good badminton player in his time.
Yeah. He's right there.
It's different now. There's club and stuff now.
Oh my God, in his time. How does that make you feel old? Oh man.
So yeah, like when I got into badminton, it was in grade 8, because in grade 7, I was playing against Caden Long.
Okay, yep.
And I couldn't beat him. And so I played club in grade 8, and then I started beating him, and I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, this is
that's your niche.
I could. And then COVID hit, and so I trained hard enough during COVID, and then after COVID, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, you had your Rocky moment.
I'm happy to play high school now, but Dad was there the entire time, and coaching with Kurt is different than coaching with Dad. But then when I was in grade 11, it was like, okay, I've seen what it's like to be a club player. I've seen how good they are. I've seen high school in grade 9, because I played high school right before COVID. High school badminton was on, and I was playing up a division because the partner I wanted to play with was in grade 10, and we didn't lose a tournament. We played in a senior tournament, and we lost in the final because time was running out, and we were in Sturgeon, and they were like, you got to play one set. And I was like, no way. Anyway, but that was the moment where it was like, it's time to turn this into what I want to do.
You're making badminton seem insanely intense, which I guess it is to the people who care, but
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. The people who care. when Jack said he wanted to do club badminton, it was all I could do to not say anything. And I didn't say anything the whole time until his first tournament. It was up in Sudbury, and then there was just too many, because Kurt does a great job. There were just too many Kurt athletes that he couldn't get around to all the kids all the time to talk some strategy and stuff. And so I went out there and started to try to offer some advice. And it was, it took a little while. Like Jack, I hadn't coached Jack before, and so it took a little while to find our relationship. That first tournament, I got an earful for the way I approach some things, and that's good. Like, we have to find that, and it's hard. Sometimes you're dad, sometimes you're the teacher, sometimes you're the coach. It's a difficult spot for a kid to be. And then when a Chippewa badminton season came around, and Jack, back then, intermediate was after high school, so I was bringing Jack out to high school, and Jack got to see that I probably knew a little bit about badminton and did have some experience back in the day. So it didn't come from me pushing him, but it was pretty cool when he picked it up. Because I coached at the beginning of my career, very fortunate that there was no club back then, but we sent kids to OFSA probably 5 of the first 7 years I coached. And that was really cool. And that's OFSA is a really neat experience in badminton. And so there was some experience that we had, and I didn't share that with Jack, but I was very happy he picked it up. Yeah. And that game that he lost the one set, they actually did have a game birdie serve. This grade 10 and this grade 9 against 2 seniors. At least one of them, I'm going to say, was athlete of the year at their school. The other one was a club player, and these 2 kids were right there, right at the beginning. It was really cool. That's a good moment for sure.
Did you make it to NASA or OFSA
In grade 9?
No, just in general.
Oh, yeah. I've only ever lost 1 game at NDA. Only 1 match.
You're pumping your own tires now.
Well, in grade 11, we went to NASA.
Does that traumatize you still, that 1 match? You're like,
oh, yeah.
It's a bit of a soft spot.
So.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I was going to wait.
There was a technicality here.
I was going to wait for badminton season to come around, but in grade 11, I was playing mixed doubles, senior mixed doubles, and we did very well. And then when you go to NASA, it's the top 2 from NDA, top 2 from Sudbury, top 2 from Elliott Lake, and top 2 from Sioux. So there's only 8 teams. And top 2 go to OFSA. So we win the first 2 games. So now, with a double elimination bracket, the worst we can finish is 3rd. Mm-hmm. And we go to bed 2-0 on Friday, and then we play on Saturday, and we lose the first game, and that's okay. They were a good team. And then so now you're playing do or die. You either move on or you don't. And we lost, and I was like, wow, that sucks. And then the next year, that partner graduated, so I decided men's doubles. And at NDA, we got to the same spot where we were undefeated going into the last day, and so the worst we could do was 3rd. And then we lose to the Chippewa team, who
medaled at
OFSA twice in a row. Yeah. We knew we were going to lose that game. And we played the Ferris team, who we had beaten every single time all year. And we lose.
This is like the Ferris Franco thing all over again. Overconfidence.
My heart was broken. But that year, we still won, because the way you win the banner is overall points. So we won the banner that year. So it was it's just a bandage on top of the wound, really.
So was it your fault or your partner's fault? Who do you put the blame? Is it 50-50 or is it... Because now, there's 2... you're the only constant.
I know. Well, that's what I was thinking. The mature thing to say would be, I should have trained harder. If I had a second shot at it, I definitely wouldn't have messed it up, wouldn't have lost. But it is what it is. And then in grade 13, it was a whole different. It was very driven in the gym every day, helping out with 7-8 badminton was getting them to help me work on my game. We hosted a tournament for Chippewa as a fundraiser just to get more reps and get more money for the team.
Did you guys have each other as did you have him as a student? In your class?
Yep.
How did you handle that? Because that's got to be kind of because Jack's older than Annie, right?
That's correct.
Obviously, yeah, because she's
Still at Chippewa.
This would have been your first time having to teach
One of my kids.
kids. Like, so obviously I had that too with my, like, as a parent, but I never had, like, my dad was a sub for me, but I never had him as like an actual teacher. So how was that for you? Must have been kind of a weird.
In all honesty, and if, in the last 7 or 10 years, it was my favorite class. It was a law class, but it was Jackson, but also a bunch of people who were Jackson's friends, who law's an interesting subject to teach because there's some certain laws that some people agree with and don't agree with, and there can be personal connections to some situations, and there's a bit different than just teaching stuffy old history that has already happened. And so it takes some time, a little while before kids are comfortable. But because in that class there were 2 of Jack's ex-girlfriends, so there's people I knew there.
Awkward.
And it was a little.
Did you make it painful for him?
No, not at all.
Okay, you should have. Did you partner them up or
no?
That would have been. So
but there were 3 or 4 badminton players, 5 or 6 of Jack's friends. 4 or 5 kids who I'm friends with their parents. And so it was a big class, 28, 29 kids. And it was incredible how quickly it gelled and how much we could do. And then these 2 French foreign exchange students came over. And I'm not 100% sure why they were put in Canadian law. but they even just fit in. And we learned a little bit about some French laws. And it was just a really, it was a cool course. And it was the discussion and the the bonding, the connection was awesome. It was my favorite class in the last 7 to 10 years.
So funny thing too is our content director, Isaac, who's also a Chippewa alumni, Isaac Sturkey.
Yep.
Basketball player. He likes to remind me all the time.
Yeah.
He was a big basketball guy. When we said you were coming in, he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember." Apparently, he's like, "Oh, he failed me in history," but that didn't actually happen. That was
no, I didn't. No,
which was kind of funny. I kind of laughed, and he's like, he failed me," and I'm like, "No, I didn't." But he was pretty ecstatic that you were coming on.
Oh, that's cool. Teachers don't fail kids; kids fail themselves. Is probably the line most teachers
true,
would.
though.
Most teachers would probably use. I remember Isaac. I remember and like some of his, younger siblings. And so it's cool that he's involved. And it is neat when you see people that you coached and you taught and you saw, like, he was a big part of the school. It's nice to see what they do 8 years later and 9 years later and how they're getting on. And so I appreciate updates like that, to be honest. Yeah.
You did not fail him in history. He failed himself. Well, he didn't even fail. He passed. But
yeah.
What was your? We talked about it briefly before, but what was your recollection of that Nova Scotia trip for that basketball when Isaac went?
I was very involved in hockey at that time. And so, I wasn't that attached into the basketball program. Simmer and Dan Coburn were doing, Tim Simpson were doing an amazing job. Jamie Crothers might have been a part of it too at that time. And so I don't have any recollections of the trip per se. But if you hear some things and stories are still going around, and when a person like Isaac comes back, like, the stories then resurface, and some of them are told the same, some of them start to get remembered a little bit different. That's part of growing up, growing old. But I think opportunities like that are really good for the kids. West Ferris used to take their basketball program to Notre Dame, I think, maybe to Michigan, right in the early stages of doing things like that. Whitfield Hockey's been to Pittsburgh, maybe, and Nashville. There's I had scholars traveled. At Chippewa, when I was a student, 1990, they took a trip to Europe. But I was not involved in hockey then, so I don't know much about it. But I think trips like that are kind of once in a lifetime for some people, and so they're the things that people remember.
And then one more thing about basketball. How was your high school sports experience? Like, what did you play? How was that?
Because you said you went to Chippewa?
I went to Chippewa.
Yeah.
I played badminton at Chippewa, golf, reach for the top.
Does Chippewa have a golf team?
Yep.
Do they? Okay.
Ben Mason was like MVP. We should have talked about that.
We
Ben
should have. I
Mason-
didn't know that. I've seen Scholar do it. I've seen Ferris do it. I didn't
Ben
see.
Mason was the MVP of that team for probably like 4 of his 5
I'll
years
have to bring
there.
him back on for
Yep.
some golf talk.
We didn't have a hockey team a lot for like maybe Christmas of my grade 9 year until grade 13 or 14. And so basketball was the big winter sport. And I was fortunate enough to sit on the bench for a couple of years. The joke that I make with one of my friends is we went to OFSA. There's 2 of us who didn't play. And so we talked about how we had great seats for OFSA, front row seats for a great tournament. But it was a big deal. And back then, we had our warm-ups with our names on the back, and no other teams in the school had that jersey. Hockey jerseys didn't have that. They were just recycled from kid to kid to kid each year. And so the name on the back, wearing that warm-up jacket on game days around the school, like it's like that leather jacket for football. And lived and died as a 16-year-old, as an 18-year-old, with some of those games. Like just right wound up as a fan, 2:00 in the morning still, having troubles like coming back down. The finals were at Canadore in the Canadore gym at the time, and so the two long, big bleachers and kids, Chip on one side and Ferris on the other, whoever was playing, and like kids would take the toilet paper out of all the bathrooms and they'd be throwing it back and forth, and it was so packed that they had to start like spilling out behind the baskets. But then became the issue of people trying to distract and not being respectful in sports, and so the referees would have to try to clear them out. But it was packed, and those were important moments. Got to go to OFSA, won a NASA, but I was there more for my spirit, I think, than my actual play.
What's it like for you having both your kids being very heavily involved in sports? Obviously, Jackson was a badminton star, was kind of a bright candle. He burnt very quickly, and then now he's not doing anything. Volleyball guy, but didn't make an all-star team, I think. That was part of it. But then your daughter, of course, in basketball. I don't know, is she playing, what's her other sport?
Oh, she's I'd say her other sport would be like the fast pitch, like the softball. She is on the Chippewa soccer team. She played Chippewa tennis for a few years, but it's mostly basketball. And
so there
softball.
You go. She's also a director as well of plays.
Yeah, these days.
all that stuff. So what's it like when you see your kids have this success at the school you went to? What's that like as a parent? And and you're also a teacher there, so you're much more involved in that kind of side of things than I think a lot of parents would be.
I'm blessed. I'm just very lucky and very fortunate. I think you're right when you talk about, teacher and parent and kid. I think sometimes teenagers and parents have a hard time connecting as their lives are in different spots. And having a car ride with your kid every day and having your kid in the hall and getting to hang around them so much. Getting parent-teacher interviews just about any day you want one.
That's got to be so awkward for you.
Yeah. No hiding boyfriends and girlfriends from your parents because they're in the hallways too. It has made for a wonderful backside or end of my career, without a doubt. But as we talk about Annie and her sports, Jackson, you coached Annie to OFSA last year in badminton, and you didn't mention that as one of her sports.
What? There you go.
Yeah, I guess she does play badminton too.
She went to OFSA.
Is she a better badminton player than? Because remember, Jackson, you lost twice.
Well, I'll give her that. I played club and she didn't.
Oh, here we go.
And she's busy with other sports. I'm gonna say no. She's not. She doesn't quite.
If you guys
drive.
went 1v1,
oh my goodness,
in your prime. Like if you were in your I'm talking. Did you have the sweatband? You probably had one of those.
It was bandana actually. It went like tails out the
in
back
your
too.
grade 13 prime when you were helping grade 7 and 8s get your game up.
Yeah,
and she played you. Who do you think would win? Actually, I won't even ask you because you're going to say yourself. Who would win?
It's this issue is probably like a whole episode or two of its own. In all honesty, like Annie and her partner Lily did not lose a game of doubles through grade 7, through grade 8, through grade 9, and through grade 10. And only lost to the same team in the NASA final twice. This sort of the same thing that Jack was talking about. Both times Annie and Lily won Friday night, and then we're sitting beat them Friday night, and then one Saturday morning, and we're sitting in the finals waiting, and that team came in and beat Annie and Lily 2 best 2 out of 3s in a row, 2 years in a row, in great matches. But Annie and Lily were unique in that they didn't have any club experience. And that's the last year's team that went to OFSA from NDA. Every one of them had club experience. Annie and Lily they might have been in a summer camp when they were 10 or 11 or 12, but they were never part of club teams. And that's an anomaly. Those kids who get the kids who are in club, they get as many hours of practice in September as the Chippewa team does their whole season. And then those club kids get October, November, December with Kurt, who's a high-powered, very knowledgeable coach. And then they get their high school gym time to play in as well. Like it really makes a difference. And so Annie and her partner do really well, especially when neither one of them have club experience.
So what I'm hearing here.
What's the question? Yeah,
this is what I'm hearing.
Like Jack could beat Annie, because their style of play. Jack, when he came back from COVID, had grown and had a better smash that he was more comfortable with, and a little bit more snap, and taller, so he could cover more court. And he gave up singles, and he won the first singles tournament that he was in, and he was a singles player to sort of start as much as he was a doubles player, and he started totally focusing on doubles. And he would easily beat Annie, but also because of the technical part, there's some things that I can't teach about footwork and some racket stuff that Kurt teaches and that Jackson benefits from, and so he would beat her if she'd even play.
Okay, so that doesn't really fit my narrative, but if it did, what I'm hearing is a lot of potential. Right, but not the opportunity to put it in, versus not as much potential, but lots of opportunity. A little bit of a growth spurt in COVID.
Yeah, that's what I chalk it down to.
So we'll call it a draw.
Yeah, we'll give biology the credit for all the success.
They didn't play in an NDA tournament together, which would have been Dad's dream. But they did. Yeah, they did do some practices together, and that's. It's a lot of fun. It's again, you get to be around your kid as they get older, and as they, in a lot of ways, their lives start sort of moving away, and so it's great. And I, fortunate enough to be Annie's slow pitch coach at Chippewa too, and Jack helps with that, and so you get to be around your kids more. Yep. You can't beat it.
And then you get the grandkids coming in. Well, I mean, you probably won't be teaching at that point, because that would be unless you're going to be around for another. Well, I hope not. Jack can get on it. Don't worry, it's fine. You only need 9 months, and then
14 years though. 14 years. That would make me.
You can come back. You can take a sabbatical. It's fine. So because we got to wrap up. We've been talking for almost an hour, which we could probably go for another couple, but we do need to wrap up. So I will ask. I'll let you have one more question, but what I want to know is, when you look back at the 1990 version of yourself, when because I think you said 30 years, so 1995, I was pretty much just born. So that I am the living encapsulation of your entire teaching career. If you look at where you were in the mid 90s when you started to where you are now, what do you think that you've probably learned the most from a teaching perspective where you are now than you were when you first started?
I think a better understanding about how kids have external lives that really impact a lot of them as kids and students, and they don't necessarily get to control those factors. I think hopefully, I've been seen sort of as a nice guy, nice teacher. But I think one of the big changes is being more understanding towards missing a due date by a day. It's not that big of a deal, especially, in history. We're talking about something 200 years ago and you're a day late with it. I'm not sure that's a big deal. So I think there's also, beginning you rely on a little bit more like showmanship. In the end, you get to rely a little bit more on wisdom. Would probably be part of it too, I think. Yeah. And
you're pretty much are you ready to retire? Or are you kind of at that point? I think we just talked about it. Like, isn't today is it today? Friday is when you're officially allowed to retire. Friday. Are you getting close? Like, are you excited for that next part of your life?
I'm excited for it. I'm not ready for it yet. I've had a wonderful career, without a doubt, and I recognize though that there's a time where you have to step aside and let the next person have a wonderful career. There is, the joke that Jack used to say to some teachers around the school is, Dad's going to teach until I come out of teachers college, and then I'm just going to take his job. Just going to hand it over to him. And so
I don't know if that's how that works.
No, it's not the way it works. But it's also like 4 more years from now if teachers college was still 2 years. And I'm not sure I'm hanging on for 4 more years.
It would be cool if you guys taught at the same school.
Incredibly cool. I'm worried though, if it's cool and I enjoy it, it'll be even harder for me to walk away. And there just has to be a time. There has to be a time when it's other people's turn, and it has to be a time for me to do other things. But I would absolutely love to teach with Jack. He coaches a lot with me, or I coach with him. And so that is great. And having that other piece as well as being colleagues as teachers, that'd be great. And he's going to be a primary junior teacher, so it's not quite the same. But maybe I'll hang on until Jack comes and do a little bit of teaching with him, or maybe I'll retire just before and supply with him. I'm not sure.
Because I know that was a big issue, is teachers not retiring, and then there was issue with like turnover happening too, right? Because that's part of it, where it's like younger teachers trying to get in, but the spots aren't there, and
that was a really big issue, especially for younger teachers who have a giant school debt, want to buy their house, want to be set, want to be comfortable, and each spring they're not sure if they're going to have a job or not. And then there are some teachers at the other end who could retire, sort of full pension or whatever the expression is, and hadn't yet. And so that was it was an issue at one point. Mm-hmm. Right now it's sort of the reverse.
This was probably like 10 years ago or something.
10 or 15 probably. But I think like West Ferris had 5 or 6 or 7 teachers retire last year. Chippewa's about to have that. I think it's going to be the reverse, in which there's going to be a ton of jobs for people who want them.
Yeah, like Jackson.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like me.
You can teach history.
I'm in.
There. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
This is great. I really appreciate it. I didn't even get a chance to talk much about the.
What haven't we talked about?
Scholar and Algonquin went to Niagara Falls for an annual tournament that is 28 teams, 32 teams from Ontario that bring in a lot of talent, and then also Cora and St. Mary's and White Pines from the Sioux, and from Sudbury was Horizons, St. Charles, Llewellyn. I think that may be it.
What's funny though, quickly about White Pines is I've done like 4 of these interviews. We just talked to the principal of White Pines. It's a really cool school. Like it's like they have like a chocolate factory in there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It's like this, it's a really cool thing. But just because you said White Pines, I'm like, hey, we literally just talked to Jennifer Barbo, who's like the principal there.
I think during the girls' basketball season, Superior Heights from the Sioux was down, and I think the teacher was talking to Dave Wiegers from Scholar and I, and said, White Pines won their first football game last night in a while. And this teacher from another school was genuinely happy for the kids in the program.
Yeah.
They recognize White Pine works hard, but they're not the size of the other schools, and that sort of showed in the tournament too. Scholar was 0-2-2 right in there. The only 2 teams they lost to were the first and third place team at the end of the tournament, or the third and fifth. Algonquin got a win, and we're in the games. And at the end of the round robin play, Cora was 4th. No, not sorry, Corey. Horizon was 4th. Cora was 7th. St. Charles was 8th. St. Mary's out of the Sioux was 11th. Llewellyn was 14th. Algonquin and Scholar were a little bit lower than that. And there's a formula about winning periods to get a point, and it's not just straight wins and losses. But hockey is very healthy in like NASA in some ways. We just need to get more schools having more competitive teams.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you want to end this thing off?
You know how I want to end it.
I don't. I actually have no idea.
You
how
have no
wanna end
idea?
it.
WWBD.
Yeah, I'm very well. That's the very end, but I'm very.
Oh yeah. Okay. Never mind. I got it.
I have a T-shirt with that on it.
Do you actually?
And well, I made them for him, and I.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You didn't bring it.
No.
Every Friday at the end for my teaching, I tell the kids, have a great weekend, but ask yourself, WWBD, what would Boal do? Stop and any point in time on the weekend, and if you're doing something that Mr. Boal would not be impressed with, stop what you're doing, ask yourself, WWBD. And so it just sort of became a thing, a fun thing.
Yeah. I do love how your Instagram handle, by the way, is Mr. Boal. I think that's so good because I can just imagine you going on to other people's like students and just like liking something, and then they'd be like, no, they caught me.
Yeah, I probably having Jack and Annie, I probably hear a lot about some of the gossip that other teachers may not hear. Like that's another maybe advantage of having kids at the school is you get the tea or the gossip as well.
I mean, now you get to deal with 6-7, which I don't even know what that is.
It's Echo Sportscast 67.
No,
today.
It actually is. Oh no.
Yeah, it is.
Oh no. That was. I did not clue into that. Do you know what's going on with like the 6-7? Is that like a thing where you go, I just don't get it? Because I feel that way.
I feel that way.
Yeah, I feel that way, but I
guess you've seen it all before though. Like,
well,
when I was in high school, we did dumb things too.
Yeah,
but
like for us, it was flipping water bottles and dabbing on people.
that is true. Yeah.
Like it's sort of the same thing. Like, why are you doing that?
yeah, fads come and go. And
What was your thing when you were in high school?
Oh wow, that's a long time ago. I would have to think about that. I'm drawing a blank right now, which is unfortunate because I'm sure there's some cool things that we did.
Maybe it was like
the days before internet and Insta and we some of us laugh about maybe it's better that there wasn't some evidence for some of these things. There must have been some expressions. Where's the beef? Or something like that. That was big Arnold.
Because that was what the 80s, right? Mid 80s.
Yeah, I started at Chippewa September 84 and then left.
So that was like the Grease era, 90. Like that kind of, Did you have a pompadour? Were you like a?
No, because I don't know what that is.
You don't know what a pompadour is? Like a little fluffy.
Oh,
yeah. No.
No.
Did you rock a mullet?
All the basketball team, but 2 players had mullets. 1 year was kind of our thing. And then one of the kids who didn't have a mullet, he'd get his hair cut every time there was a game against Ferris. And so when we were in the finals against Ferris, he had to get his hair cut 3 times in a week. It was getting shorter and shorter. And then we played them at Nauset and shorter and shorter. It was kind of funny, I guess, or funny to me now. I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that's been, I hate this so much. That's been Sportscast. Is this what they do?
Yeah.
6. No, I'm not doing it.
You're not doing it?
No, you can do it. That's
the one before 68.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Well, we'll see you in the new year, I guess, because that'll be. We have a really cool thing next week with Frank Longo. You weren't around, Jackson, because apparently you had like a exam or something. I don't know. I don't know who needs to write exams anymore, but not once you get out of post secondary. But stay tuned for that one, and because that'll be Sportscast number 68, and this one is the one that precedes it. You know which number it is. I'm Ben Sargent.
I'm Jackson Boal.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on socials at North Bay Echo. And when we get back into the season, of course, send anything along that you want in terms of sports coverage to me at Ben at North Bay Echo. And until then, we will see you all in 2026.